Hello, welcome to Fox Sports Lab AFL Round 7. Chief joining me once again, previewing these games. I'm going to kick off just tapping into the leaderboard here. Got you by 3 on our tips.
Yeah, hang
6
on a
for
minute.
me.
Hang on a minute, Dicko. If the
Yes.
umpires did their job in Adelaide last week, I'd be 1 behind, not 3 behind. That was a costly non-decision.
It was costly, and it's going to cost you again
Yeah,
because
I know.
I just feel like that little bit of breathing space is just going to. I'm going to kick away now. So we're going to kick it off, Chief. Tonight's game, we're both covering that for Fox, and a depleted Richmond lineup, outsiders in this by a long way up against Melbourne, and only the one win. So Adam Uze up against his old team, and I'm just going to put something on a big watch here. So defensive 50 for Melbourne. They're conceded 16 scores, so ranked 11th. So they can, at times, let themselves down defensively. So are Richmond going to have any hope in this one, Chief?
Well, you've got to give them a hope because of some of the inclusions, Dicko. All of a sudden, you get Grimes and you get Hopper back into that lineup. You've got to think they're strengthened from what they have been, but you just wonder about the football they've been playing. I feel for them. It's a team that's been so strong in recent years, and all of a sudden you wonder where the next win's coming from. But Melbourne, fresh off a bye, Pickett comes back into the lineup. He'll be keen to make his presence felt. Hard to tip against the D's.
Yeah, I'm with you too. So I think this one's pretty straightforward with the Ds. Anzac Day, always a huge day on the footy calendar. So Essendon and Collingwood do battle once again. This one's an interesting one. So Essendon now find themselves in the 8 in good form, 4-2. And then you got Collingwood starting to bounce back, getting their mojo. So from an Essendon perspective, they won, 32 forward half intercepts last week, best ever under Brad Scott. So their pressure's up. They got their edge back. But can they knock off the reigning premiers? That's the question.
Well, they're a surprise packet at the moment, the Bombers, aren't they? Even though they shouldn't have won last week because of that decision, but we won't talk about it because it cost me the tip. They are playing some good footy. However, I saw something last week, Dicko, that frightened me, and that was the Collingwood of old. That was a transition game that was up and running, turnovers getting punished, leg speed, just the ball off halfback was flying. That was reminiscent of their premiership season last year. So I think the Pies are back, and I won't be tipping against them in a hurry.
Yeah, and I'm with the Pies as well. I just think they might flex their muscles in this one. Giants have had their early win going into their clash against the Lions. So Jesse Hogan gets off. So he's in that forward line. Toby Green doesn't. He obviously will serve a 1 week ban. But in terms of decisions against Carlton last week, they were undefeated. But now the Giants have had their loss. Coming up against Brisbane. So still trying to find their form too. And Zorko coming off halfback, I reckon, has been a really successful move so far for the Lions.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, the Giants, isn't it? They did well to get Jesse Hogan off. I would have thought you give someone a clip, you sit out for a week just on the basis of you tried to clip someone. So that's very, very lucky. There were no hope of getting Toby Green off. It's an interesting one. They don't always play well at Manuka, the Giants, as a general rule. And Brisbane are a better team away than they are at home this year, which is ridiculous. But I still think with a couple of the players out, so no Toby Green and no Sam Taylor. Cornelio, we know, is out as well. I just think Brisbane get another chance. I've got a hunch about them. It's the last time I'm sticking with them. If they drop this one, I'll be writing them off.
Oh, I can't believe you're going the Lions. The form, the Giants, I know they lost last week, but no Toby Green, but that tsunami is in full flight, so I can't see.
It is, but Brisbane's numbers aren't bad either, what they're doing. They're just not converting.
Yeah, well, I'm going with the Giants, so I'm glad we disagreed on at least one game. Now, my cat comment into 650 for the flag, I did, pardon the pun, I did flag it last week at 950. I said, get on the Cats. They're going to do something that no one's done in the last 50 years. So I'm going with them again against Carlton. So believe it or not, Carlton are in ripping form, as we know. So, Chief, where are you going in this one before I throw another one at you?
Yeah, well, I am trying to catch up on you, so I've got to go for a few different ones. I'm going for the Blues. They were good to me last week. They're playing some good footy. They'll enjoy getting to the G. So, I think this will be a cracking game. I'm just sitting there thinking, Geelong can't keep winning every week, Dicker. You just can't. So they've got to drop one sooner or later, and I think this might be the one.
I don't buy into that, they've got to drop one or sooner or later. They just keep it rolling. And Like I said, footy doesn't change that much in 12 months, so they're right in the sweet spot. And Paddy Cripps, career best numbers in the first 6 rounds. Like, he is on fire, so that midfield battle is going to be epic. Your Fremantle Dockers, you're off them, then you're on them. Are you back off again up against the Doggies?
I'm going for the Dockers in this one, Dicko, because I know you'll jump on the Bulldogs, and this will be another one, another point of difference. They were dreadful last week, and I mean dreadful. Now, if they aren't stung by that, I mean, we saw some really good defensive structure from them the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, and they were terribly unlucky in Adelaide, but then they go home and put in an abysmal performance last week in the Western Derby. So I think they'll be stung. I think they'll be hurt by all the criticism. They have to bounce back, get a good opportunity against the Bulldogs at home.
Yeah, I can't see that, so I'm going with the Doggies. And the touch-up on the Saints last week was enormous, so it's all they needed. They just needed something to kickstart their season, so I reckon they're on a roll here and will continue on. And interesting, though, in terms of offence and defence, they're ranked 6th, so they've got the balance right in my book, so those numbers are stacking up. Let's go through the other games, Chief. So we've got Port, Adelaide and the Saints. I'm with Port. Where are you leaning?
Well, again, the Saints will be stung by that performance last week. They won't be that bad. 2 weeks in a row, not under Ross Lyon, but you've got to go with Port Adelaide at home. But they look good for a quarter and a half against the Pies last week. And I thought, hello, I'm on the right horse here. And then Collingwood just upped the ante and they didn't have an answer. But back at home, you've got to stick with Port.
And North Melbourne and Adelaide. So North Melbourne supporters think they're on a roller coaster. No roller. They're on a merry-go-round. So they are just going in circles right now up against Adelaide. So I find it hard for them to beat the Crows in this. What do you think?
Well, you sit there and you say it's hard. I mean, you'd have to be crazy to tip North Melbourne to win a game. But they're playing against a team that's really not travelling well. Dropped another one last week when a lot of us thought they'd bounce back and start to win a few games. They've got some problems, but I'm not silly enough to tip against them. Even though it's it's down in Hobart and you're taking on North Melbourne, you can't find a reason to tip North. You just can't, and I feel for them. The North supporters won't like hearing it, but there is no reason to tip them.
And 2 weeks ago, we couldn't tip West Coast, but now they're on a roll. 2 in a row, resting Harley Reid, hottest player in the game right now, up against Dimmer, Hardwick and Gold Coast. So this is actually going to test Dimmer, I reckon, in terms of the way they're playing.
No.
Can't have it?
No. No Harley, no Eagles.
Oh, right. Gee whiz, no pressure.
Mate, he's the spark plug, mate. He's the one that's firing the engine up and making everything happen. If he's not there, who's going to do it?
Okay, all right. I'm with you as well. So I'll go Gold Coast. Last game. Now, this is going to test your loyalty. Hawks and the Swannies.
Hawks are going to be good, mate. They're going to be good.
What, in 2 years?
I'm not tipping them in this game. No, look, Sydney are going well, mate. They're firing on all cylinders. They were really good last week. That was an impressive performance. So you've got to stick with the winning form.
Yeah, if the Hawks get within 5 or 6, that'll be a good result. Big call time. So I'm going to open the shoulders up with this. So the Doggies, who you've tipped against, you're tipping Freo. So I'm just liking the fact 1-39, 254. Can't believe it's those odds. I can't believe they're the outsider, to be fair, in this one. But that's my big call. I think there's a gift this weekend, and it is the Dogs.
All right, Dicko. Because I've tipped the Blues to beat the Cats, I'm going large on Charlie. Charlie Curnow, 4+ against the Cats at the G.
Okay, take full advantage.
Hey, no Tom Stewart taking all the intercepts, caddies. Let's see how you go against the big boys, Harry and Charlie, running amok. See how your Cats comet goes then. It might burn out, mate.
It won't be burning out. They'll be flying, undefeated. Let's go, Catters. Thanks, Chief. Enjoy the round 7 action, and tonight's going to kick off. We're covering what's going to be a pretty, I would have thought, one-sided affair in Richmond and Melbourne.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.